America's The Fox Report, the highest-rated daily newscast on cable television. Can also be seen on Studio B. Both shows are on the Fox News Channel. Please welcome Shep Smith.
How are you, Jack?
How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
You were great last night, yesterday morning.
Why, thank you. We had fun on the Today Show.
It must have seemed like night, though. What, 2:30 in the morning your time, right?
Something like, well, I just, you know, I was up 24 hours, so I usually go to bed at 3, so I had to be to work at 5, so I said, I'll just, you know, play Pong or something for I'll do something for 2 hours. And yeah, so it was different, but you do that every day. So
how do you like the newscast business?
It's fun.
Yeah?
It's interesting. I mean, live, we're kind of live, but that's live, as you know. And,
absolutely.
And you know how you can make sometimes mistakes on live TV.
Oh,
but,
certainly not.
You know, while we're at it, should we show that?
It's your show, Jay.
See, people know, but you're famous for this.
Okay,
Infamous,
famous.
Well, that's what's got to be awful, because I know TV Guide voted you the second most trusted news person in America, right after Tom Brokaw.
Right.
But when you make a mistake like this, you see, it just reverberates.
It does.
Well, tell people what happened. Tell people.
Well, you know, J-Lo had just come out with her new album, Jenny from the Block, and she had come back with some magazine. I think it was People magazine, actually. Yeah. And they were taking her back to her old neighborhood in the Bronx section, and she got up there, and she had all these bodyguards around her, and people weren't really down with her thing, and, you know, no one could talk to her. And my writer, Owen Mugen, who writes the G-Block in our show, wrote, it seemed like they'd rather give her a curb job than a block party. You know what a curb job is, right? You smash your head on the curb.
Right, right.
That's not exactly how it came out.
Well, here, let's take a look. Here you go. Let's take a look.
J-Lo's new song, Jenny from the Block, all about Lopez roots, about how she's still a neighborhood gal at heart. But folks from that street in New York, the Bronx section, sound more likely to give her a curb job than a blow job or block party. Sorry about that slip up there. I have no idea how that happened. But it won't happen again.
Now, I believe...
not laughing or applauding.
Now, psychologists call that a Freudian slip.
Is that what it is?
How embarrassing was it? Did you just go, oh, my God?
Blood to the toes. I walked off the set that night and went straight to the cell phone. We usually have a little post meeting out front, a few drinks, you know. Right. Get on the cell phone and said, you're not going to believe what just happened. I called the vice president of news, John Moody. Can I come back or no? Is it over? They were kind. They were very kind.
Now, you became a very popular, of course, during the war coverage. And you were on the air, it seemed like, what?
Most of the time.
Yeah, 18 hours. How long were you, did you literally live in the studio?
I actually got a hotel room across the street at the DoubleTree, and pretty much was in and out all the time. You just never knew when things were going to happen. So did a late night hour for the West Coast prime time, and an afternoon hour, and an evening hour. And
did you want to be one of the embedded guys? Did you want to go over?
I wanted to in the beginning, but Roger Ailes, the genius of television news, said that he didn't think that was a very good idea. Yeah. I think he thought I was just, you know, too flabby for the whole thing. I mean, those guys really took it over. You know what I mean. I'm not exactly a gym rat.
Kind of the pretty boy.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Rick, kind of the pretty boy. My boy Rick Leventhal, though, who was like our embedded reporter, tough guy, and he seemed to do it without any problem. And I wanted to. But in hindsight, I guess
now, when the correspondents get back, do they needly? Yeah, you should have been there, Shep. Too bad you.
Yeah, it was tough in that air conditioning studio, wasn't it? You know, they got put through the ringer. Rick lost about 18 pounds. Greg Kelly, somehow, a Marine who was embedded for us, actually ended up gaining weight.
Oh.
And I don't know what that says about his diet, really. But MREs, I guess, were better for him than home food.
Now, Geraldo, who's also one of you, a Fox reporter, he got a lot of grief for going, we're over here, behind the tree. Now, what happened there? I mean,
well, you know, the rule was you can tell where you are and what happened before, but you can't tell what's happening next. And his was really more of an error of technicalities, not of editorial, because he really didn't make an editorial error. In fact, if you saw it, and MSNBC ran it on a loop, it seemed like. They made programming out of it for days.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, go get them. But what he did was he drew in the sand where he thought it was they were going to go next. But if you look at that map closely, he really had us moving into Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Which in current climate really might not be such a bad idea if you see what's going on over there.
Do you think, because you see, I mean, Geraldo's been here a million times, we love him, but
good man.
he is a bit of a grandstander.
No, come on.
Well, I think, I mean, you think the Army's gone, whoa, this guy, you know, the focus, when it's on Geraldo, and he is riveting to watch. You have to watch it, but the focus goes on Geraldo.
Right.
You think there was you think if a rookie journalist had done that, he would have been kicked out, or you think because it was Geraldo?
I think if a rookie journalist had done it, no one would have noticed it.
Yeah,
I think that the New York Times gave out more information on what was going to happen next than Geraldo, but the rule was you can't talk about what comes next.
Yeah.
And, you know, Geraldo didn't mean to, and actually the people he was with, the commanding officer there, was fine with it, and that's why he got to go back in.
Let me ask you about something. There's this story that the French, I mean, we've all been doing the French jokes, and we all know the French were against the war, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And a lot of us got a little more upset when the French kind of ran around to all the other countries and said, don't help America, but okay. But now there's this latest story, and I don't understand why this is not the biggest story of the war, that the French were actually giving phony passports and phony credentials to Iraqi officials. I mean, these aren't like the Jews being snuggled out of Germany, you know, with phony. I mean, these are criminals. Why were the French doing this, and why isn't it a huge story?
Well, they weren't phony passports. They were real.
You know what I mean, giving them phony
real
credentials so
French
they could...
passports.
Okay.
That would allow them to travel all over the European Union. Actually, Bill Gertz of the Washington Times broke that story. And I don't know why it is that that's not bigger. We had Bill Gertz on our show within hours after that was in the newspaper, talking about the specifics of it. The State Department says they're looking into it. But if, in fact, the French were giving these murderers, literally murderers, a free license to roam across the EU, they have a lot of splaining to do.
Well, that's what I don't understand. I mean, is this one of these efforts where people say, look, the French are still our allies, and let's not... Do we let it slide? Yeah, do we give one for the team or whatever you want to call it? I mean, it seems like a huge... When I said phony passports, I mean, you're allowing a criminal to travel under your auspices and you just say they're French and do whatever you want. I mean, it seems like the story of the war to me, yet it was one day. And I remember talking about it, and nobody in the audience knew what I was talking about.
It lasted longer than that on the Fox News channel. It lasted longer than that in a lot of places, but it's not something that you can nail down overnight. The State Department says they're still working at it. But if you look at the French contracts that are said to be in place, $100 million in contracts with this government. I was talking to Paul Wolfowitz one day in our office, who said, you know, maybe in the end it's the Iraqi people who have some questions for the French, because let's face it, they were working with the murderers who were killing their neighbors and their relatives. So it may be the Iraqi people who have more questions for the French than we will.
Well, cool. Hey, listen, it's good to meet you. Will you come back and see us again sometime? You're an interesting man. Thanks a lot.
Good to meet
and we'll
you,
keep watching and writing down those mistakes. Shep Smith, be right back with Ben Harper right after this.